Let us start with Ted K.
Thanks for listening to your local NPR platform. Oil poured into the Sound at the rate of 20,000 gallons an hour.
I'm still plenty angry, you understand, but the difference is that I am now able to strike back.
Sharlto Copley, I'm sure Eric Holmes and Bruce Purkey, they're fans of because of District 9 and Chappie. We all know him from these movies. Very interesting actor. And he teams up with director Tony Stone to star and produce this movie called Ted K. And really, it's a very simple plot. It looks at the life of Ted Kaczynski, who's living up in the American Rocky Mountains. And you see, I just pretty much for how many minutes is this movie? It's 120 minutes up close with Ted K, aka Ted Kaczynski, featuring a very standout performance by Sharlto Copley. This movie is a very this movie will not please a certain section, but if you're a fan of Sharlto Copley and if you want to learn a little bit more about Ted Kaczynski, and I guess it's a very insular movie and it's a very claustrophobic film. I ended up really enjoying this movie. It's available in theaters and on demand February 18th. I'm giving this movie 4 stars. I'm saying this right now just so I want the bulk of the reviews to be from Eric and Bruce. I'm going to start with Bruce first regarding your reactions to Ted K.
Okay, yeah, Ted K. First of all, I would say if you want Sharlto Copley's opus of acting, I would go to Hardcore Henry, because he plays about 5 characters in that movie, I think. So go there. But yeah, I'm also on District 9. He's good in that and some other stuff. So this is the story of Ted K and how he's really an asshole and he's got issues with everybody, women, the technology, all kinds of stuff. I guess my biggest gripe with this movie, first of all, when you're doing a movie about a real life killer, I guess my question is, what is your angle on the movie? You know, like why are you doing the movie and what are you trying to get out of it? Like, are you trying to learn more about the guy? I mean, I guess I learned a little bit about him. I learned more about his like kind of eco-terrorism he did in the area he lived. And I learned that he was an asshole. Yeah, he was an asshole. I got to see that for 2 hours. But it kind of comes across to me as like the wrong part of the story. Like, the most interesting part of the story to me would be the investigation or how they catch him or, you know, how that goes down, which I kind of know that story too. But to focus on him, a real life killer, it kind of comes across as irresponsible to me. And I don't usually judge movies on responsibility, but to me it's kind of like, hey, let's give 2 hours to this asshole killer and kind of gloss over the murders he did and the people that were the victims and the investigation that caught him. So I kind of grade it down a lot for that.
I'm kind of glad that they actually glossed the over the because of the killing. I didn't want to see that. I just wanted to be right in that whole wheelhouse of his within his frame of mind, and like you said, the eco-terrorism. But you said there's
Yeah.
that flip side where a lot of people will be offended that it's not given its.
Yeah, well, this is the kind of movie when it's a fictional character, it's like a, like a taxi driver or one of those kind of movies where you're kind of in this disturbed mind who has their own moral compass, and you kind of get to see their spiral and their kind of weird world of view. But when it's a real person, I think that's a different story, because then you're kind of coming at it. I don't know. There's a responsibility, I think, as a filmmaker you have to take when you do that, because there's real people who really got killed. So to me, you're kind of saying like this guy's worth a whole movie, and the people that got killed are worth like 2 seconds in the background in a slow motion glamour shot of him walking away. So I kind of say fuck you to that kind of movie on a lot of ways. So to me, I'll give it a couple stars because, Charlto's doing his best. He's chewing up the scenery here. And it's moody, and it's kind of has a weird vibe certain times. The music's kind of interesting. The look of it's pretty good. But as far as the actual story goes and the focus, everything else I give 0 stars to. So I only give it 2 stars for that.
2 stars for Ted K from Bruce Purkey. He, was not a movie for him. Do you agree with that sentiment, Eric Holmes, regarding Ted K?
Yeah. The most of it. The beginning of this movie, I was very worried. I was like, this movie's gonna piss me off. I think I told you guys as much. Because it seemed like this is really weird. But during the opening credits, like the names they had for the credits, I was like, this is gonna be like is gonna be like a teenage kid that just found out who Jeffrey Dahmer is, and like, whoa, cool, and do that I don't know, teenage thing. You get into serial killers and whatnot, and they're real interesting, cool, and I'm gonna wear my Ted Bundy shirt and that sort of thing. And I thought that's where this was going. I think this went a little deeper than that. And they kind of already did this in Joker. It takes a character that we're already familiar with, and then I guess to Bruce's point, the angle here is, let's see how he got that way. Let's I don't think they forgave Ted Kaczynski. It wasn't that grotesque, I don't think. But the movie was definitely interested in how does someone go like that? How does someone become like that? And another movie I was thinking of was like American History X. American History X doesn't forgive skinheads and Nazis, but in this, it tries. In American History X, tries to understand how does someone become like that, and that's kind of what the thrust of the movie is. And apparently, the director didn't like American History X, and that's another conversation. But with Ted K, it seemed like they were kind of going that route. Let's see what turns someone into a Ted K. And I think with something like Joker, it's a little easier to handle because Joker doesn't exist. He's a comic book character. And so you can have that conversation. And actually, that's probably one of the reasons I do like Joker. But with Ted Kaczynski or Ted K, when you're dealing with real people, it makes it a little trickier. So it's almost hard. You have to really thread that needle. I'm not going to be as hard on it as Bruce, because I got the feeling that the filmmakers had the best intentions. I don't, I'm not going to say the filmmakers were like, yay, Ted K, look how cool we are. As I mentioned earlier, that's what I thought it was going to be, but I felt like they were trying to thread that needle. I don't think that they completely did it, but this is I think overall I like this movie and I appreciated what it was going for. There are going to be some people that watch this and just get straight up pissed off, probably more so any of the family of any of the Ted Kaczynski's victims. They probably watch this movie and go fuck yourself, movie. Mm-hmm. One thing that doesn't have anything to do with anything was Melissa Aufdumar was one of the producers on this.
Right.
She's a bass player for Smashing Pumpkins and Hole, and I didn't know she was a producer, so that was very interesting. But Sharlton Copley's great in this. There's nothing wrong with the movie itself, but it's kind of the context in which the movie's presented. And I
I guess
I think if they could have threaded that needle just a little better, this would have been like a 5-star movie.
What stars do you give it? How many stars?
Oh God, that's tough. um, if let's say Ted Kaczynski's a fictional character, this would probably be like a 4.5 star movie. As it is, I'm kind of with Bruce a little bit. It's probably 3 stars. But again, that I think I'll give it 3 stars. But your take on this is going to depend on how, because like some people be listening to us or watch, maybe they just watch Ted K and they don't care, and that's perfectly valid too. But if you're the type of person that's like real sensitive to that sort of thing, I might tiptoe towards it. If you don't give a shit, then check it out. It's a good movie on it. In a vacuum, it's a really good movie.
3 stars for Eric Holmes, 2 stars for Bruce Purkey. I give it 4 stars. I love this movie. It's a great character study on Ted Kaczynski. Bruce Purkey does not agree. Again, 2 stars. And Eric liked the movie, but it was he's a little bit, I don't know. 3 stars for him. For Ted K, currently as of this recording on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a score of 86%. Okay, so that is Ted K, again in theaters and on demand on Friday.